Yeah, hey Doc, this is Richard Sterban speaking with the Oak Ridge Boys.
Yeah, Richard, how are you, my friend?
Well, Doc, I'm doing just fine. It's certainly a pleasure to be able to talk to you this morning and to be able to talk to your fine listeners out there.
I got to tell you, I got to confess right off the bat. I learned to drive in my dad's El Camino, and he had Oak Ridge Boys 8-track tapes all over the place. So my driving actually is connected to the Oak Ridge Boys. How crazy is that?
And it's kind of sad when you think about it. In some ways, however, that we were around back in the 8-track days.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, you know what? I can still remember the smell of 8-track tapes. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
They were in their day. They were kind of cool, but they never. It seemed to me they never worked very well.
Well, they were great until they got hot, and then the tape got
Yeah.
stuck inside the player. Well,
Yeah, exactly.
talking about the Oak Ridge Boys, Richard, and I've talked to a lot of artists that had influences like Johnny Cash and Elvis. I mean, good grief, you guys were on stage with them.
Well, that's true. For about 2 years prior to joining the Oak Ridge Boys, I sang in a group called J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet, and for about a year and a half of that, time, I sang with the King. I sang with Elvis. And then back then, certainly Elvis was the biggest star in the world. His tour was the biggest tour in the music business, and to be a part of it was really very, very exciting. I had some fond memories of the times I spent with Elvis. Got to know him just a little bit, and it was a great experience in my life. And then later on, after I joined the Oak Ridge Boys, we came in contact with Johnny Cash, the Man in Black, and I don't think there would be an Oak Ridge Boys today if it wasn't for Johnny Cash and his influence on the Oak Ridge Boys in our early years. He was a very special person. He kind of took us under his wing. He paid us more money than we were worth back in those days. And, I think more so than the money that he paid us, were his words of encouragement. When we were struggling along, he encouraged us to not give up, to continue on, and I really don't think there would be an Oak Ridge Boys today without the Man in Black. So you're right. Those two people in particular, Elvis and Johnny Cash, were two very, very special people. They were out of all the people I've ever met in my life, those two people were, they had something special. They could walk into a room and just command a room. They had so much, charisma, so much magnetism, or whatever the word is, that you just understood why they were such big stars and very special people on top of it.
Yeah, we are so honored to have on the show today talking to Richard Sterban of the Oak Ridge Boys. Richard, I'm curious, considering how many decades you guys have been making music, what is the world of the Oak Ridge Boys like now, dealing with social media and everything, compared to when you guys got started?
Well, social media certainly has changed the way we do things, and I think that in this day and age, if you've got to keep up with what is happening, and we've tried to do that as the Oak Ridge Boys. Years ago when we first came on the scene, back in the 8-track days, as we were talking there earlier, things were much. Seems to me back then they were much more simple. But and we would rely on regular mail from the postal service to communicate with our fans. But now it's like instant communication. And if you don't have a presence is what I'm trying to say. If you don't have a presence on social media in this day and age, you are going to get left behind. A lot of artists have built their career on social media, so it's a very powerful way to go, to say the least. I personally am not a very technical guy. I'm not a big social media person. Dwayne Allen, our lead singer, he seems like he lives every day, all day long on Facebook, and he kind of gets the word out to our fans as to what's happening with the Oak Ridge Boys. Joe Bonzel's our Twitter guy. He Twitters every day. It seems like all day long as well. And we have people in our office that are on Instagram and these other ways of doing things. I'm more the old-fashioned kind of guy.
I hear
I
you.
spend a lot of my time doing what I'm doing right now. Talking to radio stations and talking, to newspapers. There's still a need for that as well in our business. So, being in a group, you can cover a lot of ground to kind of spread the responsibility around a little bit. And that's kind of what we try to do as the Oak Ridge Boys.
Yeah, well, Richard, I understand you're actually sort of a fan of some of the new country, I hear.
Well, I think we all are. Our latest album, that we recorded this year, 17th Avenue Revival, was produced by Dave Cobb. And Dave Cobb he's the hottest guy in Nashville right now when it comes to producing. He produces all of Chris Stapleton's stuff. He does the Zach Brown Band, Jason Isbell. And he's very much in demand. So I think as a result of working with him, we've gotten more in touch with some of these guys that are really happening right now. And if you go, you'll hear Chris Stapleton on the Oak Ridge Boys bus. You really will.
Yeah.
And it's the type of, and we like to to stay in tune with what these young kids are doing. Last year, a great thing happened to the Oak Ridge Boys. We sang on a record with Blake Shelton.
Yeah.
Blake called us up, and he said he had a song on his new album that would be perfect for the Oak Ridge Boys. Would you guys be willing to sing with me? And of course, we said yes. And it was a great experience. And then later on, we sang that song on TV with Blake. It was last year at the CMT award show on TV. We sang "Doing It to Country Songs." Blake Shelton and the Oak Ridge Boys together. It was Blake's idea to put a couple of choruses of Elvira on the end.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget when we hit those choruses of Elvira, Blake and the Oak Ridge Boys together, the whole arena went crazy.
Yeah,
and a bunch of young kids out there that were not born when Elvira was a hit. They were dancing and singing along. They knew the words. So it's kind of cool. So Blake allowed us to kind of brush shoulders, so to speak, with some of these new young country fans that have come into our business here in recent years.
Yeah, Richard Sterban of the Oak Ridge Boys with us. We are looking forward to seeing you guys in Cheyenne on November 30th. What is an Oak Ridge Boys show like these days?
Well, when we come to town, it's going to be the Oak Ridge Boys Shine the Light on Christmas show. And we've been and our this, believe it or not, will be our 29th annual Christmas tour. We've been doing this for a while. I think over the course of the years, we've been kind of become known for our Christmas music, and we'll be bringing our Christmas show to town. However, most of the time when people find out we're bringing our Christmas show to town, the very next question is, even though it's a Christmas show, will we still hear Elvira? Well, the answer to that question is yes. You will hear Elvira. You will hear me do Giddy Up, Oh Papa, Mau Mau. That will definitely happen. You'll hear Thank God for Kids, Y'all Come Back Saloon, a lot of our hit records. And after that, we close out the concert with a series of songs that talk about the real, true meaning of Christmas. And, of course, we know that is the birth of Jesus. And what that means in today's world, So we end the concert on a very sacred religious note. But the whole thing is a total package, and a great night of family entertainment. So we encourage, we plan to have a great time, and we've worked very hard to make it a good show. And so, we encourage people to come on out and spend some of your holiday season, with the Oak Ridge Boys.
Yeah, well, Richard, I can tell you straight up, if this were the movie Wayne's World, I'd be holding up my laminated pass right now and saying I am not worthy. But it has been a privilege and an honor, sir, to visit with you, and we look forward to having you in Wyoming here in the next few weeks.
Well, Doc, thank you for doing this, and thank you for allowing me to talk with you and your fine listeners out there. And we'll look forward to seeing everyone, when we come your way, certainly.